Good afternoon and welcome to the Monday, March 8th, 2021 Park and Rec Commission meeting. Just want to remind the public that this meeting is also being conducted and open by teleconference. I'd like to begin by taking roll call of the commission members, beginning with Mr. Bastian.
Jim Bastian.
Dave Christian.
Skillings.
Carissa Bugler.
Leroy Floor.
Amy Johnson.
Laura Evans.
Thank you, Commission. Next item on our agenda is to approve our agenda. Is there a motion to do so?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Motion's been made
I will second.
and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We also need to approve the last couple meetings minutes. And so the first one would be our February 8th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve the February 8th, 2021 meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sign, motion carries. The next meeting was a special meeting held on February 17th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the February 17th, 2021 special meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. Item number 5 on our agenda this afternoon is the City Council meeting recap. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. The February 16th regular City Council meeting saw quite a bit of action, including to set the bid opening date at the end of this month, March 31st, for the annual street projects, which includes the final and central section of Maplewood Drive adjacent to undeveloped Maplewood Park. They also did the annual action to approve year-end transfers and encumbrances, including funds related to the Glockenspiel, the Recreation Center boiler, German Park Amphitheater, Herman Heights Park retaining walls, and the carryover related also with the Heritage Preservation Commission's joint study of Herman Monument for restoration, open PO of ours related to that same project. Also, the admission booth replacement project for the Herman Monument was part of that package. And the tree commission's carryovers to assist with plantings of trees and shrubs at Herman Heights Park this coming summer. They also accepted the donations you recommended they accept and authorized the reassignment of the New Ulm Steel Junior Hockey lease from the previous owner to the new owner. And they approved a downtown parklet pilot project. They also authorized, as you recommended they do so, the temporary blue lighting on some of our municipal facilities to denote colorectal cancer awareness during the month of March. The second of 2 meetings since our last commission meeting was March 2nd and saw nothing specifically related to Park and Rec from the City Council on March 2nd. So that's City Council action over the past month.
Director Schmitz, can I ask a question? The downtown parklet pilot program, are those small parks that are in like the parking lot or in the parking spaces along Minnesota Street, or what is that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, and that's, the Park and Recreation Department is not leading that project.
Yeah.
It's a joint project between the Chamber of Commerce and a few other organizations, including the city.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Director Schmitz. Is there any other questions regarding the city council meetings? We'll move on then to item number 6, old business. First on that would be the renew update. And we'd ask Director Schmitz to
Yes.
give us a report.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. The update there is that the Recreation Center project continues on schedule for a grand reopening in August. We all know that the indoor improvements include turning the previous pool, the former swimming pool, into a gymnastics center, leased to the gymnastics organizations, and then a new aquatic center addition, along with an indoor playground adjacent to that, and a new expanded co-located fitness center for both strength and cardio. The big news there, of course, is that the entire campus is closing soon. We do have Vogel Fieldhouse still open as part of the recreation center, but due to the construction, we will be moving all fitness equipment, the strength and cardio equipment, out to the Civic Center in early April. And offering those machines and walking in one of the 2 arenas that will be dry at that time without ice. And so that the recreation center, its entire campus, will be closed to the public beginning in early April until the grand reopening in August. So that's the renew update.
Director Schmitz, on that project, has it been proceeding on schedule, basically, or has there been some hiccups?
Well, Chair Skillings and Commissioners, with any project of that magnitude, especially with a renovation and addition, as opposed to all new, like the Civic Center was in the early 2000s, there are some challenges, and there have been those, but we've worked through them with our construction management firm and the architect, and it's on schedule and on budget. So we're pushing forward and quite happy, and we've had a great winter also for construction. They were able to enclose the new area prior to winter, so they dug the new swimming pool hole inside of a building during the winter, which was quite excellent timing. So yes, on schedule, on budget. Very exciting, and sometime in the next month or two, I imagine, we will be offering a brief tour to the Renew Committee, the Commission, and the City Council.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the Renew program? All right, we'll move on to the next old business item, which is neighborhood park programs that we've been working on for several months. What we want to do this evening is review the data that we have put in a matrix that we've constructed and review the scores. And we'll need to adopt this matrix and those scores this evening. So leading the discussion would be our Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. So just a reminder that we've been looking at 8 park service areas in our community. Now, just recently, in the past few weeks, one of those park service areas has developed a new opportunity. Lakeside Village Park, as we all know, has been there for some time, undeveloped at 1.5 acres. Does not qualify or meet the standards for neighborhood park size. But we have just learned from Brown County that Block 7, adjacent to Lakeside Village Park, is tax forfeited and available for procurement by the city at little or no cost. So we put that into the matrix. As you can see, there's Lakeside Village Small, which is existing, and Lakeside Village Large. So that was additionally evaluated by staff that got all this data factual data and inputted it into the matrix. So on the big screen, you'll see that there are 9 park service areas that were evaluated. I think we're all familiar with the objective criteria, as you can see on the screen. And then the only subjective criteria we have is if the commission or commissioners have a specific item that they want considered outside of the objective. And the third category is the land questions. So we measured the distance, we measured the elevation changes, we evaluated the safety level to get from the center of a park service area to the nearest developed park. All of those objective and land criteria were evaluated by staff and inputted into the matrix. So the final numbers that came out of that matrix are here for everyone's review on the big screen. Maybe I can try to zoom in a little bit. View, zoom. Let's go to 100%. Okay. We'll see how that works. Well, might have been too much. Yeah, let's go back out. There are the scores. So the recommended action would be to review that and decide if you agree with everything and adopt the results. But even prior to that, maybe a discussion on subjectivity, whether the commission has any thoughts related to the subjective criteria.
Director Schmitz, just a reminder, this is the subjective was the conversation of, are there any special circumstances that a commissioner wanted to bring forward that should be weighed in our overall assessment of each of these potential park locations?
Correct. So, I mean, just one more comment here as a result of the final scoring. I mean, we're still thinking about how you feel about subjectivity or subjective criteria. But just kind of a reminder on the final scores and ranking is that extreme north New Ulm and extreme south New Ulm ranked high. And for all practical purposes, you could maybe call it a tie. With Lakeside Village, large, and Upper Cottonwood. You can see those numbers. Upper Cottonwood came out on top in the objective criteria alone. Lakeside Village, large, came out on top in the land criteria only. And when it's combined, Lakeside Village slightly edges out Upper Cottonwood. But for all practical purposes, I would say they're nearly tied and both deemed appropriate for neighborhood park development. Neither of those areas of town are served by a neighborhood park.
Well, it would make sense too, because I mean, those are where some of the newer developments are and sort of where our growth is heading, the directions.
Yeah, Tom, could you scroll down? I can't do it on the screen here for Upper Cottonwood, your projection with houses.
Yes, objective.
Now, I realize that one's greater than 200, in my estimation, that's gonna be 15 to 20 years before more building goes on out there. The property on either side of the county road, is not available for building.
You mean on a township road?
Yeah, township road.
Yes, we didn't have development time
Right.
as a criteria.
I mean, I like the work that was done here, but, commenting on the whole ball of wax here, the money that we have is roughly like 200,000, correct?
$207,000.
And the last time Fender Park, we had to use money there for the street improvement. Maplewood Drive adjacent to Maplewood Park. Council may be leaning on using some of that money for the street assessments that are gonna happen there. Land acquisition out at Lakeside. Do we have to pay the assessment out there or not? After the forfeited land? I don't know if we do or not.
My understanding is no.
Okay. And then proceeding with the land parcels Upper Cottonwood. The city finance director is gonna have to do some fancy dwindling because 200,000 is not gonna go very far.
Yes, Chair Skillings, Counselor Christian, and Commissioners. As you see further in the packet, there's an opportunity for a grant application with the State of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources to assist with land acquisition costs and/or development costs in Upper Cottonwood. And we've already discussed that with the DNR, and they said that this would be eligible, that this area, this future park project would be eligible for that local grant program, local park grant program.
And what is that grant, the amount, the dollar amount?
Well, it could be anything up to $250,000 with an equal amount in local match. And the local match could be in kind or cash or a combination of in kind and cash. And you don't have to go for the entire 250. So if we asked for 100 or 125,000 from the state, we would only be required to match an equal amount for that Upper Cottonwood area.
So that doesn't, all that includes is the land, no sidewalks, no playground equipment, no utilities, no nothing. Just
Well, we
the
don't
land.
have the exact costs yet, of course, with the two landowners we've been talking to for a while. But the first step is to acquire the land. Without land, you can't even contemplate a playground or park development. So step one for a new neighborhood park would be acquiring the land. Just as in Lakeside Village would be acquiring Block 7 from tax forfeited through the county at a couple $100 max total.
So how big is that, the property by Lakeside?
The park itself is 1.5 acres, and Block 7 is twice that. I think it's approximately 4 acres. Maybe
That's at
3.5 to 4 acres.
That's at Lakeside.
Correct.
We had any estimates on the Upper Cottonwood parcels in terms of the cost of those?
Yes, and the numbers that we're, talking about and that are in the packet of $100,000 for Upper Cottonwood Park would be in the ballpark. And that is just for the portion of those. There's 6 total acres up there. An owner with 1 acre, another owner with 5 acres. And the park area that we're considering is just a portion of that. It would be about half of that, 2.5 acres would be for the park of that total 6 acres up there.
We can't use that park fund to buy property, right?
That's what it
That's
is
the
for.
only thing you can use it for then, right?
We can use the parkland dedication account for land acquisition and/or development, land acquisition or park development or both. We can use it for playgrounds or land acquisition or both. But my recommendation, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We're just talking about the matrix now. But my recommendation down the road would be to not exhaust the Parkland Dedication Fund on any one area. To consider the fact that we have two areas needing and deserving, and that I would suggest no more than half and half between those areas. And as Councilor Christian mentioned, maybe less than half in both those two areas. But let's focus on the matrix first, I would think, maybe.
One thing I was going to say to Commissioner Christensen's, if we think that the Upper Cottonwood having too many, or it's going to be a long time before it's a lot of residents, that would be an appropriate place to do a subjective adjustment if we think that should play into it. We could either penalize that park, or we could plus up some of the other parks based on the sooner time frame, if we feel that's a subjective thing we want to add into there.
Am I correct, Tom? Most of that beyond the golden property is not even annexed in yet.
Correct.
Yeah. For future development.
Yeah, the Upper Cottonwood area is, is just to acquire a land to begin a neighborhood park in a portion of a future developed area. I would say it's just that entire service area of Upper Cottonwood service area is probably less than half developed. Maybe it's a third developed with homes as of today.
Okay, Commission, so let's get back to the matrix and the scores and our approval of those.
I just have a question with the, if I'm just thinking of it correctly, thank you for the maps and letting me look on these maps, that the South Market Park and the Upper Cottonwood Park are the two parks that are on that, the south side of the city. Is that correct? Of the 7 that we have, or
Well, there's
8 or 9?
There's South Goosetown as well.
South Goosetown. And where's that? Which one?
That's where the old putting green was.
Okay, so I think that's the one I was thinking of. Then where's South Market Park?
That's a
For
little
6?
further north, a little further north of that,
Okay. On
on
German still?
German
or-
Street. German Street, yep.
Green now, number 6 is South Market, number 7 is South Goosetown.
Okay. And 8 is the
8G is Upper Cottonwood.
Cottonwood.
And you can see out at the far north end, Commissioner Evans, that Lakeside Village and North Broadway our service areas overlapping and adjacent to each other.
Right. So I was just thinking, I guess, when I was looking at the matrix and the, I can't see it now, where it was talking about to get to the parks, and the Upper Cottonwood, it was labeled as hazardous, and I guess now South Market, but I don't know if South Goosetown is the one, the putting green, correct? What was that one now? Is that somewhat risky? But if we're saying from the center of the nearest developed park, so for both of those, for the nearest developed park would be South Park behind the old Target, correct?
Yep.
Actually, it would be Lincoln Park because there's no shelter at South Park.
Okay.
And the neighborhood park requires a playground, open green space, and a shelter.
And the shelter. Okay. So I was just thinking of the residents, the community crossing Broadway to get to Lincoln, as opposed to those in Upper Cottonwood not having to cross a highway. Is that correct? I'm just trying to get my
Correct, yes,
bearings,
yes. Commissioner Evans, that is correct.
Okay, so I just, maybe I would say crossing Broadway would be hazardous, not somewhat risky. That's what I was thinking
Can I
of.
make the change and see what happens? Or Commissioner Vorwerk?
If we're saying those two parks, well, okay, the three parks, South Market, South Goosetown, and Upper Cottonwood would be on the south side, you know, developing one of those, not all three, right? One before others, then I don't know, that's just my thought. If you're saying Lincoln Park to cross Broadway, that would be hazardous.
Although there is a controlled intersection with a stoplight.
True.
But whatever the commission feels, we can change that answer in a split second. It may not change the results of the score and ranking significantly, but we can,
It might. I don't know what criteria you actually went with to come up with hazardous, risky, and safe.
we
When you
went
guys were
with
scoring it.
crossing streets or intersections.
Yeah.
Sure.
And, the quantity of those intersections, and then whether they were controlled intersections or not.
Yeah.
And I understand, I've driven up Upper Cottonwood many times. I understand that many places up there do not have a sidewalk, as opposed to the many neighborhoods in developed New Ulm that do have sidewalks. So I understand the sidewalk versus no sidewalk. I'm just thinking of, it's a straight shot down, however you get to Lincoln, and you don't have to cross. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah, the city engineer was the one that ranked
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
With the most knowledge of streets, sidewalks,
Correct.
and intersections. But it's still the Park and Rec Commission's matrix.
Is there any other questions about the matrix? And the scores, I guess?
I have another question, please. Just the nearest park, what would, with North Broadway and the Lakeside Village, either large or small, you had said that they both overlap, but where's are you saying North Park is the nearest developed park for them?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I
Correct.
thought.
Great question.
Excuse me.
Any further comments, questions? Then a motion to approve our matrix and scores would be in order?
So moved.
I will second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the neighborhood park matrix and scoring that we have before us. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7, we're moving into new business. And here we're going to consider recommending or not to the city council the neighborhood parks that we think should take priority. And so if we go by our matrix and by our scores, the number one neighborhood park to be developed on our list is the Lakeside Village Park on the north end of town. And so we need a motion to recommend that the city council proceed with acquiring the tax forfeited parcels in Block 7 of Lakeside Village and add those parcels to the Lakeside Village Park and have the Park and Rec Department proceed with developing that as a neighborhood park.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. Just to add to that, on the monitors before you now is Block 7 outlined in black. A number of little home lots here on Lake Street, and then this bigger parcel. So this entire multi-parcel Block 7 is available to the city at little or no cost through tax forfeiture. Lakeside Village Park is here where my cursor is, at 1.5 acres and undeveloped. So just to point that out, I'm going to try another screen for just more background information.
Yep, thank you.
So any questions or comments at all related to this item?
Tom, just for clarity, the first section to the left of the blue area that you're showing us is already acquired and is designated parkland. So we are recommending an additional parcel to that. Okay,
Correct,
thank you.
correct. The blue outlined parcel is Lakeside Village Park, owned and operated by the city as an undeveloped mini park at this point. But it's adjacent to entire Block 7. So if we were to acquire all of Block 7 and designate it as Lakeside Village Park, along with the existing acre and a half, we would have 4.5 acres approximately, and meeting standards for size. And it's shovel-ready, flat ground. And there could potentially be development happening there as soon as next summer, summer of '22, if the commission and council were to authorize that. And that would be, a good-sized neighborhood park to serve extreme northern New Ulm for generations, many generations. It would serve Trolloc Estates, Huffman Addition, Lakeside Village, and other present areas and future areas to the north, including, the Mac Pit and so on. So I think this is a rare, unique opportunity to acquire a good-sized neighborhood park and plan for developing it over years.
From a safety, just for Laura's earlier comment, probably not, safety would be a concern today, but that boundary street, correct me if I'm wrong, will be redone and a sidewalk will be added to that. So there will be a more pedestrian-friendly way to access for Trolloc Estates or Huffman Addition for residents to access that park safely. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Correct.
They're clearing trees already.
great.
The only question, Tom, we'll have to find out before that goes to council with that assessment deal.
Correct.
Because I know there was a big mess out there with the assessments, almost giving the lots away, but the assessments were so high. That would be the only thing in my mind would knock it out of the park if we had to pay the assessment. Trying to recoup our own money.
Correct.
Okay.
And that land is already owned by the city. There would be no cost.
This Block 7,
No.
No,
the state of Minnesota,
okay.
through tax forfeiture.
So what, do we know what the cost is on that?
Be extremely minimal for the
Okay.
city to acquire that, according to the Brown County Treasurer.
Okay.
If it's, for public purpose, such as a park.
Okay, Commission, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to recommend to City Council that they proceed with acquiring this area here that we were looking at in Lakeside Village for a future park location.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Just a comment I want to make, not that you say Counselor Christian changed his mind, but I am fine with that if we do get it with the forfeiture. But if that assessment deal does come up where council has to do it, then I'll be voting no. Because then we're eating our own money. But otherwise, I'm okay with it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7.2 is the second neighborhood park proposal on our list. And we take a motion to recommend the city council proceed with land acquisition of the two available parcels in the upper Cottonwood Street area for purposes including a neighborhood park.
So just as a little more background, Chair Skillings and Commissioners, these are the two parcels, this east-west parcel where my cursor is now at about approximately 1 acre, and then this east-west larger 5-acre parcel. And in your packet, you can see that only a portion of that is being considered or recommended as a Upper Cottonwood neighborhood park. And that is what's on the screen now. Settler Trail here would be on the west of this future neighborhood park. So the proposed action before you is simply to recommend proceeding. There will be a number of steps and a number of information points for ultimately the city council to decide. And there's no commitment at this point in time, but it's what our matrix is telling us. Extreme Southern New Ulm ranked high as need for a neighborhood park.
Oh, this a question for you, Director Schmitz. Okay, this is totally different than, was it a couple months ago? We had hashed through this. We looked at different avenues, the route to go down, buying all the golden property all the way back to the hill, us trying to develop it. So now it's just actually the two front parcels of their property. This is a little different than the one we looked at a couple months ago.
Well, correct, Councilor Christian. What this proposed action is simply to recommend the next step, recommend proceeding with the possibility of this coming to fruition. You see next in the packet would be authorizing a grant application from the state of Minnesota to assist with land acquisition. And then the appraisals will be done. But this area to the west, if the city decides for the entire 5-acre golden parcel, this section, the 2/3 section to the west, is not part of the park.
Right.
And that would be a whole different set of questions for the council.
And that's where those high numbers came into play, buying the whole parcel of property.
Yes, by
Right.
extending utilities out here to the lots. As you can see, there were the possibility of a number of residential lots out here, and extending street right-of-way and utilities out here to make these lots all saleable and buildable. There is some cost involved with that.
And to do that, Settler Trail has to be extended.
Correct.
That's where I remember the high numbers all came in. Okay.
But this request is just to take the next step to see what's possible here related to the eastern section of this land and the potential of a neighborhood park.
Commission, a motion would be in order. Not hearing any motion.
I have a question, so there's 2 lots that were just shown. So each one would be 100,000, just for the land, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. Those 2 private parcels, the 1 acre and the 5 acre, we don't have exact pricing on that yet, but no. The $100,000 estimate would be just for the 2.5 acres to the east, which would be parkland.
Okay.
Well, it'll come to council, but, so the 2 property owners have agreed to split the parcels?
Well, the smaller 1 acre parcel, is close to the part we're talking about
Right.
with the park. The 5 acre owner, there's still discussions related to that. So correct.
That's what I thought.
It's going to be, this proposed action should even have probably one more word in it, to proceed with possible land acquisition. So that's just kind of taking the next step towards possibilities.
Director Schmitz, I think that's maybe why we're hearing silence, is we don't,
Right.
I don't feel like the commission has enough information to make a recommendation that, to the city council, that they acquire this land. I feel more so that our recommendation is off of the matrix, that this be the second location that the city council, in fact, why don't I just make a motion for discussion? I make a motion to recommend to the city council that they proceed with investigating this parcel to serve this neighborhood as our second priority neighborhood to be served by a new park.
Thank you, Commissioner Bugler. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend to the city council that they investigate this parcel as our number 2 priority for a neighborhood park. Is there any further discussion?
And just to comment, you're all aware, there'll be a lot of discussion on that because those numbers were super high the last time it was discussed.
I would agree, and that's why we're not hearing a motion as it's recommended to us, is that we just don't have enough information to say that
So
that's what the city council should do.
do the people in that area have a say on if they want to park there or not?
With this part, no. The other part, yes, they do.
Okay.
The covenant.
Oh, okay.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7.3 is our recommendation to the city council authorizing that they pursue a grant application to the Minnesota DNR to assist with the costs of land acquisition and/or development of a neighborhood park in the Upper Cottonwood Street area. The grant requires a local match. The local match could come from the Parkland Dedication Fund and go to development costs, such as playground. Present amounts estimates are approximately $100,000 each. So do we want to recommend that the city council direct the Park and Rec Department to pursue the DNR grant?
I have a question about that. Is that a time thing? If we don't get it in time, then we have to wait another set time until we can apply again? So we should just get the ball rolling, or should we recommend to the city council that they wait, or we don't vote on it tonight and we don't do anything with the grant yet.
Chair Skillings, Commissioner Evans, and Commissioners, this does not commit the city to anything. This is just a grant application. It's due the end of this month. It's often an annual cycle, but the recommendation from staff would be to get the ball rolling. And even if we were to receive the grant and costs for other aspects of this package are deemed too extensive, the grant could be turned down or denied. So it doesn't commit the city to anything. It gets the ball rolling and provides the council with another tool in their toolbox, another option, another opportunity with no commitment. Now, or even if the council authorizes the grant application, it will not commit the council to doing anything other than applying for the grant and proposing the project.
Director Schmitz, is there a reason why Lakeside Village isn't listed as an option that we could apply for this grant for? Is it just Cottonwood Street that would meet the grant criteria or requirements?
Commissioner Bugler and commissioners, either area would meet the criteria. There's no land acquisition costs in Lakeside Village, only development costs. So depending upon how things come together, a grant for developing Lakeside Village could be entered into the next cycle of this local grant program from the state.
Motion would be in order? So there's a problem with,
I can take a stab at a motion. I will make a motion to recommend to the city council that they authorize a grant application to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources to assist with the cost of either land acquisition or development of a neighborhood park in our top priority parks that we are recommending to them tonight. So either Lakeside Village or Cottonwood Street.
But isn't it, Tom, that grants that you have to be site-specific, don't you?
Yes, and
When the
when
grant,
staff
you have
puts.
to be site-specific, like
Yeah.
physical address.
So
Absolutely.
we could put in 2 grant applications or 1. And this is often an annual cycle. So I think
guess
the pressing
I like
need.
the idea of go right 2 of them. If they give us the one for the playground equipment at Lakeside, so be it, they get the playground equipment. If they give you the money for Upper Cottonwood,
I'm making some assumptions that the city council may or may not come to a conclusion in one meeting and may need additional information to make a final decision upon how the city is going to move forward with these 2 recommendations. So given that motion, it allows the city council to choose either or both, depending upon the decisions that made at the next council meeting. Sorry,
Second.
go ahead, Leroy.
That's what I was thinking. Because if you just did it for Upper Cottonwood and we would not make land acquisition, that money'd be gone again, right? So that's really a dead deal until you'd do it again, right? Is what you're saying.
pretty much so.
Why wouldn't you?
Able to submit 2 grant
Yeah,
applications
well, I
for
would
these
think that
2
would make
ideas.
way more sense. I mean, if one's gonna die in the water, at least you got the other one yet.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That $100,000 ain't gonna go much towards the
No.
land acquisition up there, though, I don't think.
so we're, just to paraphrase, we're looking at recommending that the city council have the Park and Rec Department make a grant application for our two top priorities in neighborhood parks.
I second that.
That wasn't a motion.
I thought she did make a motion.
Oh, you did make, oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
motion. I
I'm
believe
sorry.
it's already seconded. I think it was already seconded.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Motion's been made, seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7.4, new business is donations.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. We have a couple of donations offered to the city over the past month through the Park and Recreation Department, including $15.40 cash from Amy Magyar. This is an unused balance from a previous shelter rental that she wants to donate to the city. And then $1,000 cash from Dennis and Kathy Bourne to us to pay for an inventorying the artifacts in the Environmental Learning Center in Riverside Park. So that grand total is $1,015.40. I recommend you forward it on to the City Council for their acceptance.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded regarding the donations. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. Item 7.5, adopt a park or trail segment program changes.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. You have before you, occasionally, we look at our programs and recommend updates and modifications. So the only real update and modification here is, solidifying the program and some of the details related to it, including, number one is that the organization adopting a park or trail segment would need to pay for the signage. In the past, the city has been paying for signage. It's $100 per sign. And then secondarily, it's holding them accountable for actually doing something annually. With 25 person hours of service annually or a $250 donation to the park or trail area. So those really are the two changes recommended for the program.
And you have a list of organizations that are currently adopting parks?
Yes, some of these are consummated and some are in the process of being consummated. So what will happen is those that have already been adopted or consummated, this information will go to them and in hopes that they agree and abide by it and sign a new agreement. Those that are in the process of considering it now have an updated formal document to make their decision with. So yes.
Thank you, Director Schmitz. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Been made. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the changes to the Adopt a Park program. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sign. Motion carries. Item 7.6, German Park Amphitheater, Minnesota Grant Resolution. To recommend the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the $300,000 grant from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development for the shade structure in the German Park Amphitheater.
Chair Skillings and members, this is simply a formality when working with the state of Minnesota grant. As we know, the offer has already been consummated by the legislature and the governor and the bonding bill. So this is one of the next steps that needs to take place. The council adopt a formal resolution and we send it up to St. Paul. Very common.
Thank you, Director Schmitz, for you and your staff's work on that. Is there a motion?
I would so move.
I'll second.
Motions are made and seconded, authorizing the grant from the state of Minnesota for the German Park Amphitheater. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 on our agenda, reports from commissioners and staff. the department activity report. Is there any comments about that? It's in your packet.
Chair Skillings and Commissioners, staff has nothing to add to this report at this time.
We need a motion to accept and order filed.
I move we accept and order filed the February department activity report.
I'll second that motion.
Been made and seconded to accept and file the department activity report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. Item number 8.2, staff report.
Skillings and Commissioners, the only other report we have from staff is that it appears summer is here or summer is coming soon. The outdoor ice skating season and outdoor snow season for sledding is over. So we're beginning to plan for reopening of the splash pad and the wading pools and mowing grass in the not too distant future and prepping our stickball fields for softball, baseball, and so on. That's all we have to report at this time.
Thank you, Director Schmitz. Next item, commissioner reports. Commissioners have anything?
I've got one I want to get a little update on. I know there was a little confusion at the last planning commission meeting, and I know some of you park and rec commissioners thought like, well, what are we doing when the planning commission just overrode us, recommending this, that, and whatever? That's actually, planning commission was there for informational purposes, and it's almost like a recommendation from them back to this commission. They did not make the decision that here's the park we're gonna do, here's the next one. I mean, council gets that from this body, this commission, just to clarify that they didn't make the decision and that's what the city's gonna go with. A little misleading with the meeting.
Thank you. I'll just make an announcement about the Johnson Park grand reopening. We've set a date, the New Ulm Baseball Association has set a date for Sunday, June 20th. So put that on your calendar. You'll get formal invitations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other items? Our next meeting is scheduled for April 12th. 4 o'clock in these chambers. Hearing no further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.